Okay, so the occult, God, and religion. I want to talk about why all these things tie in together through an invisible thread that the average person may not necessarily be able to perceive based on the relative position and the conditioning they have been given based on the society that you were born into. Because I don't really give a fuck if you're born a Christian, Muslim, Hindu, whatever. You need to understand that you don't necessarily have your own mind, and we all have a degree to free will, right? We all pick our own relative position from the perspective of how we react, how we act, meaning our planetary map, our energy blueprint of how we individually do things and engage with, let's say, our sexual energy, how we engage with our heart energy, how we engage with our throat energy, how we project with all these things, right? So we all have a relative position, but more importantly, I'm speaking about the relative position that you was born in as a geographical location that give you a particular set of lenses, eyes to perceive things, a particular way, a conditioning, a pattern, a paradigm. I want to talk about why the religion of that paradigm really is connected to the occult, and why the occult is really just connected to God, back to itself. So all these things are a three-stranded cord that you cannot break. Because for you to even come up with a religion, you have to be able to come up with symbolism. So what does the occult mean? Occult just means things behind closed doors, information that is not really understood by, most people. Because when we talk about the occult, really we're talking about Scorpio, we're talking about the eighth house. And I don't want you to think that there's a zodiac sign in the sky, like there's a scorpion in the sky. No, that's just someone else's objectivity based on the subjectivity that we're all experiencing, right? So when we talk about the occult, we're just talking about the hidden symbolism, the hidden meanings and reasonings behind things, from the perspective of the energies that are behind closed doors, that are influencing your mind, that are hypnotizing you without you necessarily being able to tie back those strands together. Because you may not understand why Jesus is symbolized through the symbol of the cross. You may not understand that the cross is just the crossing, it's just the seasons divided. Really, it's a mathematical tool if you really think about it, because you're just taking things and you're dividing them in 4 compartments. So you have the spring, the summer, and things like that. But the average person is not going to be able to understand that. They're just going to worship the symbol of the cross. Like the cross, the Christian cross, there's also the Coptic cross. That's also like the real version of that, where it clearly shows you. See, you're not going to be able to see it though, because you're going to be able to study symbolisms and the things behind things. You understand where they're really coming from. Because you might just think, oh, Jesus died on the cross. No, that's not what they're talking about at all. When Jesus died on the cross, look, now you got to understand subjectivity and subjectivity. Objectivity and subjectivity. Objectivity from the perspective of, was there a dude running around getting people to look at things differently than how the Roman Empire wanted them to look at things, so they can control the mass populace that they're, using to run an empire, so you can have soldiers, so you can have entertainers, so you can have, people that serve the royal court, strippers or whatever, whatever. So you have a consciousness, an overlord controlling a population of people by secretly implementing signs and sigils and runes and using certain sounds to affect the mind, to shape and mold matter, which is the mind in this case, in a particular way, so it can serve their purpose, and for you not to serve your purpose, your real purpose that God put you here for, So this Jesus dying on the cross, all it really is just a motherfucker. Just when the sun goes into Scorpio, that's where the sun falls. And I don't know exactly what book it was in, but I guarantee you that if you look into it, it will be that book will specifically be about Scorpio. I think it was Mark, John, Luke, and Matthew, or something like that. John, Mark, Luke, and Matthew, something like that. But all these things represent is the 4 fixed signs in the sky. So that would be Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus. It's talking about that spring, summer, fall, and winter in a 4-quarter divided way. So whatever book you come across that's so quote unquote holy is always describing a circle, the 360 days that we go in the fucking year and stuff like that. So when you're a person like quote unquote Jesus, his name probably wasn't even Jesus, whatever the fuck it was. Somebody was going around changing the people's minds on how they should go live their life. Because look, when you pay attention to something, you give it your energy. When you're watching this video, you're giving my video, your energy and stuff like that, right? When you're in a church, The church cannot operate if it's fucking empty. A musician, a singer, will not have a concert without people there paying attention to that concert. So if you're somebody like me that can take the attention away from the shadow government as far as their rulership, as far as how they run things, depending on how far you go, they might want to wipe you off this planet because you're taking the sheep. They look at themselves like they're the shepherds, and it's our job to guide the sheep. But the way they do it with like witchcraft, all types of shit. They don't even tell you what these things are. They don't even tell you that men and women in the Bible is talking about thoughts and feelings. It's not talking about like physical people. It's talking about like a mental disposition at a particular position. It's mathematics, it's science, and it's beyond those things. It's really esoteric knowledge. It's all those things. It encompasses all things. It's objectivity and subjectivity. But you have to understand these things in the first place for you to actually even read those things. But so they use these signs and sigils, these numbers, to run society behind closed doors, down to even like the years and stuff like that. You can easily like switch things around and play with things. Like it gets really deep because the mind is just perceiving information and it's assimilating information, and without necessarily looking into things further, you're not going to be able to understand what's going on behind closed doors, right? So when we talk about the occult, the things behind closed doors that is not understood by a person, is deeply tied into religion. And the occult is a part of God because God is just the overall expression, right? So you have to be able to understand and tie all these things together, because if you don't tie these things together, you're not going to really be able to understand the totality of these things. You're going to think that the church is supposed to do these things. You're going to think the mosque is supposed to do these things because they were blessed or ordered by God to do it. But really, this is all of our power. This is everyone's power. Everyone has this ability to do these things, but they want to take your abilities and they want you to invest it in their paradigm, in their reality, so you can keep building their reality with your mentality, because you're the energy. When you pay attention, you give their paradigm energy. So religion, God, the occult, all these things come together. Because if you don't understand the occult, you don't understand the things behind closed doors that are actually silently influencing people. Because these are weapons of warfare that are silent. Speaking the word is a very, very powerful thing, because you can look at how many leaders spoke the word into their men during wars, and they had a bunch of men go die for them, yet they was just chilling somewhere, because the word is so powerful. You can inspire, you can destroy, you can guide, you can contain, you can burn through things with the word. There's a lot of things that you can do with the word. So keep in mind, all these things are tied together, and none of these things is separate. They just want you to think that these things are separate when they create words like, oh, this is witchcraft. Witchcraft is just when you practice something on someone and they don't know that's what's actually going on. See, they're doing witchcraft on the highest level, but they're telling you not to do it yourself, because that's where the power is at. Because again, what is witchcraft? Witchcraft is just taking your subjectivity and building some type of external craft with it. Now, don't practice on other people. Practice it on yourself, on your own mind, and then you could walk around like be the example. Whether you want to be like Jesus or you want to be like Muhammad and stuff like that. And for you to get to that point, there's going to be a bunch of experiences, a bunch of little points you have to travel through. As far as same way they give you degrees at school, these are degrees of light that you travel through for you to become that expression. So you have to go through the test, so you can have the testimony, so you can be seen as the one. So that might be like the businessman that's failing, right? And then all of a sudden they succeed. Yeah, because they went through the tests to get to the testimony. That goes for everything. That goes for building your muscle. That goes for building your mind, having better memory, learning a new language, all these things. So yeah, all these things tying together. Don't let the motherfuckers lie to you. Real shit.